All right. Hello, everyone. It's Viz, and this video here is about Zerg and free for all. If you play a lot of free for all, you might have heard people complain about randoming Zerg and saying it's the worst free for all race. Is this actually true? Though, kind of, is what I would say. Um, if you look at Zerg in normal matchups like 1 versus 1, it's considered to be just as balanced as Terran Protoss, and Zerg versus Terran and Zerg versus Protoss are possible matchups. So why is it not considered good and free for all? And the answer is, as you probably know, it's that Zerg units just are not cost effective compared to Terran and Protoss, which is probably how Blizzard intended them to be, I think, since they're like the Swarm, you know. But why does that matter for free for all? Um, since the games in free for all tend to run longer, and minerals do become scarce, and whoever has the most well-controlled, cost-effective units are probably going to win. In cases where all players are of equal skill and the game hasn't ended before the map is mined out. So if you think about 1 versus 1, Zerg versus Terran, Zerg versus Protoss, which I'm sure you've seen plenty of like Korean pro games casted, whatever. You see Zerg taking more bases than Terran or Protoss to stay equal or ahead. I don't play a lot of 1 versus 1, but I do know that Zerg needs to be 1 to 2 bases ahead of Terran or Protoss to even be even. Uh, and in 1 versus 1 between the best Korean players, this is true, probably. But in normal free for all with normal players, you actually need to really be ahead more than that. You need to be more bases ahead to fight campy Protoss or Terran players properly. And also, not to mention, fighting everybody in the game, or everyone who's remaining in the game. So, a maxed Zerg with 50k bank should actually be a little scared if there are 2 Protoss left in the game who are maxed, and they each have about 10 to 15k. You should actually be scared as Zerg with 50k. I would be, assuming they're good Protoss players, assuming they're good free-for-all players. So I would be a little concerned or hesitant in that situation, but a maxed Zerg with 50k is probably totally fine against a lone Protoss, even if they're good with like 10 to 15k. Maybe more like 10k. I don't know. It really depends on the players and the map layout and whatnot, and how many cannons they have, that kind of stuff. If they're on an island, that definitely changes it too. So if you're already a very strong Zerg player, you're not much at a disadvantage in free for all unless the map is absolutely awful for Zerg. You just need to play more aggressive, like you would in a 1v1. So just treat it like 1v1, or 2v2. But you also need to know when to just relax for a little bit and wait for the right moment to be aggressive again. So general strategy, I'm not really going to talk much about how to play Zerg because I'm not really a Zerg player. Like unit compositions and builds, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that really. But the obvious best thing you can do is just to simply play on maps that aren't biased against Zerg, like large 256 by 256 maps with a lot of expansions, or at the very least, large maps with wide open areas that are easier to have map control with. And maps with double gas in the main are helpful too. Big maps where you don't expect to be rushed, in those cases, you can just expo super quickly and a lot. And if you're a poker player, if you know anything about poker, there's something called table selection, which is going and sitting at the table with the worst players, or at least one or two bad players, which seems kind of scummy, but I mean, if you want to win, that's kind of how you have to do it. So picking good maps is the poker equivalent, of table selection. Um, and as Zerg, you're gonna want to try and end the game before it gets to super late game / mind map out stage, or at least if it's going into that situation, at least have a huge bank advantage going into that stage, like more minerals than all of the other players left in the game combined. Obviously, expand a lot. That's not just a Zerg thing, but you really need to have more expansions than anyone else. You need a lot of territory, and you have an easy way to keep it all in vision with spread out overlords and whatnot. Sitting back and camping on a small amount of bases will not go well with Zerg generally, unless it's a small map with not many resources, or you have no real choice given the map circumstances or who is around you. And the one thing about Zerg is sometimes it's a slight advantage in it because people don't worry about you as much. They're more worried about Terran and Protoss in late game free for all. So I am a huge proponent for mass mutas. They're always good for map control, and just outright killing someone if they're not prepared. And even against like storms and Valks, like those are your counter, but you're probably still fine against them if you have some decent control. Now, if you have a shit ton of storms and archons, yeah, it's not going to work. Or like a shit ton of Valkyries and science vessels, probably not going to work. But I would still recommend having a couple tabs of mutas at all times just for map control. Mass ultras and lings are good to just level bases. Um, obviously, overlords for map control, watching over expansions that you haven't taken yet. That's big. But you would act if you saw someone else taking it. So it's good to keep an overlord at every empty base, and as soon as you see someone take it, that's information to help you decide what to do. With a big bank, say you have like 20k or more, probably maybe more like over 25 to 30k. With a big bank, mass hatcheries, obviously surrounded by a lot of spores and sunkens in like a really nice area, like a corner or an island. With lurkers and defilers ready to guard it. Is big. Just to guard all your tech and all your production, you can have in one nice little spot. And that goes the same for Terran and Protoss. And with that said, you actually don't really need to be maxed at any given time unless you're, about to attack. But if you have a nice solid defensive spot, you don't need to be maxed at all times. You can just have your bank and wait until you see what the situation calls for, and then you can make whatever it is to react. Okay, late game. Assuming low minerals and you can't just keep YOLOing into them, which is kind of what Zerg does. So I'm going to be honest, it's really not good to be late game with Zerg against Terran or Protoss against a decent opponent who knows how to use spellcasters. Your main units obviously will be Defiler and Queen, and just whatever else you need based on the situation, which is any just attacking unit, obviously. But Plague is huge, huge, huge. And Snare is good, not only for like their effects, but also revealing cloaked things like wraiths or anything under an arbiter. Scourge is also a huge free for all Zerg thing for arbiters, vessels, carriers. But yeah, so Zerg versus Terran, you're probably because science vessels are going to fuck you up. Again, like if a player is smart with them and knows how to use them right, they're going to mess you up So you're just going to need to have good scourges, control, good plagues, and good unit spreads. Like even just a small group of like mutas, devours can help. You're going to lose them, but it can at least help you try and kill. Broodlings are good for tanks and Goliaths if you're able to just do it and get out quick without getting vesseled. Hydras are nice for late game just because they're a nice ranged unit. But also, if it's really, really late game and you get irradiated with a Hydra, you can turn into a Lurker Egg to avoid dying, and you can cancel the Lurker Egg right before it turns into a Lurker. And by that time, the irradiate will have run out. So it seems really small, but that is a nice little trick that you can use to conserve your units late game when every little bit counts. Battle cruisers can be an issue, but they're generally counteracted very well by Plague and Ensnare and Devour Gunk. Yeah, BCs aren't too scary unless you're on an island and they're Yamatoing you. Tanks are always an issue with, mass tanks, Goliaths, but Broodlings over time can whittle it away if you can avoid being irradiated. So, Zerg vs. Protoss, obviously attacking units are great against spellcaster units. Spellcaster heavy armies, which are usually, Protoss is very spellcaster heavy in late game. But if you're low on money and you can't keep just suiciding your units into them, and they have a lot of cannons, DTs, zealots, you need to get creative. Especially because Dark Archons exist and they are very annoying. And the only real way to counter them is just avoid being feedbacked. Like, it sounds stupid, but that's really the only way to counter them, is just avoid them. And you can get a good view on Dark Archons by parasiting them if you can get close enough without them realizing. Parasite on Dark Archon's great, because, you can see exactly where they're going to be. So try to only use your queens when you think they're not paying attention to a certain spot. Plague is perfect against Protoss, obviously. Really fucks up any of their units. Swarm is huge for taking out cannons. Lurkers under Swarm is huge, because really the only thing you're losing to there is Storms. Broodlings against High Templars, of course. Parasites and Arbiters are good too, because generally that's where they're keeping all their units, so it gives you a nice little view. Parasite on Observer is great, especially if they're not aware that you have a Parasite on Observer, because that reveals things underneath Arbiter. So if they have an Observer near where an Arbiter is, and you Parasite the Observer and they don't realize, then you just have vision of everything they have there, which is great. Carriers, obviously, your Mutas and Devourers and Ensnare are very good, even with Corsairs. And you're going to want to obviously send the Devourer group in first, and then send the Muta in like a couple seconds afterwards once there's at least one layer of gunk on them. Well, if you should have like at least 9 Devourers, so that will be enough to max out the gunk on one big chunk. But carriers will, even with Corsairs, you'll get stasis, but you can implement some Scourges in there to kind of try and wipe out the Arbiters. Or just spreading. So moving past carriers and then attacking when you're on top of them is a good way to counter getting stasis. And also a good way to counter it getting stormed, because if they storm you, they're going to storm their carriers too. And then at that point, you move out of the way. That's more of a micro. That takes a lot of practice to get good at, is controlling big groups of Zerg air. But once you're able to do that, that's very powerful. Against mass Archons and Storms, obviously Mutas aren't good. Guardians aren't even all that great either, but they can be decent depending on the map layout. And Mass Archons are scary, but Ensnare is actually very good against them. And Hydras with good positioning plus Ensnare, you can fuck up Archons, Mass Archon, just by sheer numbers. If the Protoss is on an island with cannons and spellcasters, it will take a long time, really, well-coordinated guardians plus drops, like with ultras and Defiler and Ling and just massive ground army can overrun it if you're able to manage that. And you'll also need mutas to kind of tank shots while the overload. Protoss on an island is miserable to fight because Maelstrom exists and it will fuck you up. They Maelstrom anything you have as it's coming towards you, it just dies. So you're really just going to need to hope that you get lucky with Guardians and the drops and the mutas and just hope it's enough to break them. And it probably won't take one time, it might take multiple times. So just keep YOLOing air and drops at them until they die. And if you don't have a lot of money, then I really don't know what to say other than you're probably screwed. Just don't let it get to that point. That's the way. That's how you counter that. Zerg versus Zerg. This isn't actually very common in free for all, but it does happen sometimes. And I will say, broodlings are good against lurkers and ultras, especially. Strategic Niduses are good if you can get them off. And mutas are good at all stages, even with Devourers out there, even with Plague out there, mutas are still good for map control. But of course, you just need to watch for plagues. Mass Hydra is actually decent because it's a good anti-muta measure, and they're just good at taking down bases and ultras and stuff. But Zerg versus Zerg, you don't see a whole lot of that late game. So I have 3 replays. I'll show you. That can kind of help you see a little bit about how Zerg can win free-for-alls. And I'll preface this by saying, yeah, I do not main Zerg, and I wouldn't even say I'm good at them early/mid game. But I can still pull wins off with them pretty frequently, even with good players in the game. So I'll start with one here. I don't remember which one this is. Zerg versus maybe Protoss? Let's see. I think this is a Zerg versus Protoss endgame. Not to spoil anything, but they're decent players in this game. I'm gonna kind of just skip through some of this, but you'll see I'm Zerg here. Strategically on this map, I know that I kind of want to wipe these players out and just claim this whole bottom area. You see, there's like one choke here and a bunch of bases underneath. So that's pretty much what I'm going for. Fast expo. Just some Protoss players up here, but I'm not going to look at them too much. Just getting sunk in here. Scouting who's where. Turn my sound down. It's really not that. There we go. Okay. Okay. So one player down. Where was that guy? Right there. Okay. So now this guy gets a good chunk here. That was a bit late, lurkers. Specchio's got a bit of bases here, so I think I scouted that he really didn't have any anti-air, so I went for him. If you have an opportunity, it's an example of if you have an opportunity, take it. I mean, he did expand right next to me, but yeah, that's the good thing about Overlords. You can scout that kind of stuff and see who's undefended, and if it makes sense to attack them, then go for it. Which in this case, it made sense to attack for it. Okay, still haven't killed this guy, which is kind of annoying, but let's see if we can get him out. And I'm able to kill this guy, it looks like. So mutas can easily just take someone out. I mean, this guy wasn't really the best player, but he wasn't a complete noob, but Mutas were able to just take him out quick and easy, so now don't think about that. And I had scouted this guy, and oh, he's actually kind of AFK, but I had scouted him, and I had known him as a player that he's not the strongest player, so I knew I was probably fine to leave him for a little bit. Carriers, okay. Okay, so now I'm just clearing this out, focusing on taking this land mass over here. I know Specchio is kind of injured, so I don't have to worry for a little bit. Okay, more hatcheries. 2 spires for quicker upgrades. Someone said carrier, so I need to get a hive and greater spire ASAP. Speed through. Now, this guy's really not doing anything, so that makes it way easier for me. But under normal circumstances, I would have tried to kill him ASAP while kind of just ignoring this. So some players might see this and be like, "Oh, this guy's right next to me. Let me kill him." But in reality, he's kind of like a buffer for me against everyone else up there, and he's not attacking me. So I'm just kind of letting him have that while I, deal with over here. And look, he's even going up now. Like, he's not even coming down. He's going this way. Now, if I had attacked him, I would have pissed him off. He would have came towards me, probably. Now, this guy says GG. And I let him just live so he can stay in the game. And there's no minerals here, so I'm just like, whatever. So now my main focus is actually Specchio over here. Now, it's really, so play. I mean, Yellow's not a bad player, but I know Specchio is a good free-for-all player, so I have an opportunity to take him out. He's like right next to me, so might as well. Even though there's not a ton of minerals here, it made more sense at this point to attack right here than right here. And look, here's a nice example. This guy is the buffer between me and him. He's doing the work for me right here. He's clearing this out. And it's close to me, so I can easily retake it myself. So now I'm just kind of chilling, laying back, building my bank up. There's no need to attack anyone at this exact second. I have an overlord here checking out this base to see if he retakes it. And I'm getting some defense here, lurker there. So now I've gained all this territory. I have a decent bank even without having mined it out. Like, I don't need to do anything other than just relax. Positionally, I'm set up, so I only have this one choke I have to worry about. Or drops like here. But I'm ready and able to deal with that as it comes. And I see if I can maybe take him out here. No, maybe not. And that is true. He is my buffer from the carriers. While I get rich. That's exactly what I was saying. Well, it's 10k. I guess he was AFK a lot of the game. Now, my game would have been a lot different if someone spawned here who was a better player. I would probably still be fighting them, or I would have been dealing with fighting of this base, So I still have mass. Oops, see. I didn't really lose any mutas there, but it did damage a lot of them. But I kind of need this composition in order to take out carriers. I guess I could use mass hydras and plagues, but I just kind of like the versatility of it here better. And yellow's gone now. See, I can just quickly take out this little army, and it would cost me nothing. the versatility there. And now he's taking this base over here. Take this opportunity to clear some supply buildings out. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn the sound down if possible. Is it Alt? No, it's Windows key. Nope, it's Control. Dang, I'm clueless. It's fine as it is. Okay. Now just kind of, no stormers here, so I can just spread out, go, kill it. Maelstrom with no storm is useless. He's kind of just consolidating and getting his minerals. Yeah, no. Mutas are not good against that. They're good at taking out stuff where there's really not a whole lot of defense, like here. What? Oh, Specchio went to do this. That's why I had to come back. It's because of this. Now I have to deal with this. So this is a case where I'm probably going to need something other than mutas. Or a nice plague. That'll do. I'm probably building some ultras or something, maybe. Yeah, there. Lings and ultras are able to take this out. Can't quite get it with mutas. So now my main focus is kind of just trying to keep this. Because these minerals are the closest to my enemy. Well, actually, my main focus is trying to just kill Specchio, because I know he's going to keep attacking me. It's kind of annoying, but I kind of have to. Just doesn't want to die. Which is really bad because this guy's just sitting back and mining. But you'll see, if you look at our banks, my bank is double his. And I still have a base over here I can mine. And this one right here. So, mineral-wise, I will probably end up being ahead. And he finally dies now. Okay, so now it's the UVP endgame. So I'm double his bank, but he can still mine here and here. I'm still mining here. The space will be nice. Hell, even a little here and maybe even here. So my bank is going to be only slightly ahead. You kind of want it to be a little more than slightly ahead. But a nice plague there. Plague is so good against Protoss. And it reveals those units too, but here I pointlessly lose some units. And Maelstrom's kind of wreck me. But I did make him storm his own units. But regardless, still not a good engage for me. He kind of had positional advantage on me. Now I don't really have any units, but I can get him up pretty quickly. And all this gunk is on him, so he might be a little apprehensive to go forward. So this isn't really an army he can push with. I guess he needs more storms. But now he's reinforcing. Now he's a lot more scary. But I get a nice plague off on everything. Devours in first. I really don't have a lot. But you see, plagues plus purple goo makes carriers pretty weak. He does finish it off. And the spellcasters, they just die to ground any attacking unit. So he's mining here. That engage wasn't all the best for me. Honestly, I think he ended up being a bit more cost efficient, which is kind of to be expected, but I did also make some mistakes. No, I just need to secure this here. He's just distance mining. Just clearing some units. Oh, okay. These are all stacked, so this is a bad thing about Midas. He's probably about to storm this. So we'll see if I have the foresight to move them. Not really. Did not the best dodges. See. I did end up winning the fight, but I lost way more than I needed to against that small army. If I'd got the jump on him and moved the mutas a little sooner, those storms would have been pretty useless. Or semi-useless. Okay. So he still has 7k. I'm at 7k now myself, actually. But he isn't mining. I am semi-mining. So I'm only slightly ahead mineral-wise. Heck, probably not even, probably about equal, dead equal, but you don't want to be dead equal as Zerg. But he is pointlessly losing units here. Swarms for the cannons, of course. Just clear out that. I made it really a point to get that right there. This is cleared out now. Really pointlessly losing some units there. Oh, but yeah, there was this guy who actually had 10k. So I had to completely come back and deal with that. I had no idea. But he does end up killing a bit of my units. Now, blue's coming. This is mined out though, so that's good. I have a bank advantage on him. Although no, he's almost maxed. I'm not. So once I remax, it'll probably be even. I have one queen. 4 queens. Okay. So at this point, I realized, okay, I need queens. So I'm getting a little low on money. So I need to get heavier on the spellcasters. Oh, hold on. Okay. So I want to see what I do with these queens here. Ensnare. See, I see Archons. Ensnare. And snares there, kind of just pointlessly losing queens. Do I get a plague? Yes, but on Archons. So Mass Archon is great against Zerg, obviously. Ensnares were not enough to deal with it. I just didn't have enough ground army. So now things are actually looking terrible for me. He doesn't have a bank. I really don't have a bank, but he's way supply advantage on me. But I get a nice plague off on these units. Pointlessly losing units here. I did wipe some out, getting unstasis. So 156 supply against 50 supply. I don't have gas either, so this is kind of a problem. And he's able to distance mine this. So I'm mining this. Guardians are pointless. Yeah, worthless. Clears out that mining. I'm kind of. This is a nice thing you can do. Just with a small squadron, like kill their little reinforcements. Nice and snare, but it's not really going to do anything. I was still mining, barely. Not a lot. But he doesn't have. So okay, now the parasites begin. Now I threw away those units, but I did kill a Dark Archon, which I think was definitely worth it. It was maybe like 10 Lings and 3 Hydras or so to kill a Dark Archon at this point in the game, where I know he probably doesn't have any money. Those kinds of trades are important, getting rid of Dark Archons. Okay, so I see he's Archon heavy. I don't really want him to be mining much. Because every little bit he mines, just that's another Archon, or another Templar, another Dark Archon, you know. Whereas every little bit I mine isn't nearly as impactful. Broodling on a see, sniping the Dark Archon was huge for that, because now I can just go in and Broodling anything I want. Getting rid of that Dark Archon. So now we are going ensnare, attack. See, they're so slow when they're ensnared. Ensnare. And I was able to wipe that entire army with however much that was. Probably, it was actually probably less supply. I think it was definitely less supply, as Zerg, which is not generally known for their cost effectiveness. The ensnares were huge there. And now I'm just blocking this from being mined. We're equal on supply, equal on money. Oh, there's a Dark Archon. So yeah, just get as soon as you see a Dark Archon, you just need to run. Otherwise, you're gonna lose those units. Try to get a parasite. Yep. See the Dark Archon's parasited, so I see if it's moving at all. At this point, the game is just snipe units here and there while prevent him from mining. Just pick things off. And I'm barely mining here. Mining here long distance. Even mining here long distance. Yep, I must have been playing the High Templar. So at this point, I don't know what he has, but I am slowly getting the population advantage while scantily mining. And I don't have. He only has one Dark Archon, which is also parasited. So at this point, it's a win because he can't make anything else. But I was able to overcome being not only behind in supply but in bank, but still managed to make my units cost efficient enough to beat a Protoss. So that's the first game. Give me 1 second. Okay. That's the first game, ZVP. Now, if he was on an island, it would have been a very different story. Okay, let's do this big map. This is a good Zerg map. It's just a big map with a lot of minerals, very wide open spaces. So this is the kind of map you could play Zerg on very easily. I am yellow in this game. Teal is E40, who's another free-for-all player. And gray is another free-for-all player. Everyone else, well, I think red is in the free-for-all Discord as well. Everyone else I'm not entirely sure about. So I go for quick expo, double expo. Do get rushed, which is problematic. So, not dead yet. Still have bases, so don't give up. Still, okay, I even have a Spire coming up still. But I'm surrounded by 2 Zergs. And the Spire lives, well. So I'm surrounded by 2 Zergs that are not impaired, as I am. So at this point now, I'm just kind of looking around to see if there's anywhere I can go. And he finds me and goes right for me. Leaving me with... Well, he left it alive, but leaving me with pretty much just the space here. Trying to get the space up here, get scouted. It's no good. Damn. Down to 1 base in the middle of the map. Not ideal. But now they're fighting each other, which gives me time to relax and just try an expo. Yeah, just kind of dying here. It's not looking good. But Math Muta is great because it just lets him, go wherever he wants, kill whatever he wants, and get away really quickly. Doesn't have to worry about pathing or anything. Even though it is a pretty wide open map, ground would be fine. Just Math Muta's is easy enough to take out this kind of thing. And just go right for his base back here. And then, if he doesn't want to fight, he just runs away. And he has a lot of expos, so he's playing a very good Zerg game right here. He keeps trying to do stuff. He keeps acting, being aggressive, which is good. But he loses some here, which is not good for him. Now he's having to deal with pink. So that expansion might be a little too close to pink. You probably should have went for these ones instead. Or at least if he was going to go there, you should have wiped pink. Now I'm having to deal with this. Great. Not ideal. I'm still alive with 2 bases, 3 bases. Just gonna kind of spin through. It is a rough game for me. But Mutalisk Wars ZVZ, that's pretty much what ZVZ is from mid game especially. Gray. Not too concerned with this. There's no Zergs over there. Scouting, knowing there's islands over here. Just want to see if I can get them, which I cannot. Very unfortunate. But I am making use of the fact these guys are fighting. So I'm taking this here. Taking this, so I'm not dead yet. Just kind of trying not to make any enemies. It's red. No, teal is nuking. Maybe this guy's nuking. But even trying to find a base over here to get. Just keeping my units centralized, ready to defend myself as needed. Not trying to be aggressive yet. And I'm not in a position to be aggressive. Tried to 5v1. Yeah, it's not an ideal strategy. So he's gone, and immediately something ticks in my brain, and I'm like, yeah, so these bases are probably free. You could probably even hear me loading up a drone as soon as he left. Yep, right there. Immediately going for those islands. Oh, just died. I'll get it eventually. So now I have a big, huge mass mutable. And I'm about to get nuked. Not good. But now, finally, trying to get this island base over here. Even trying to get this over here. But now I'm just going to clear this out. There's not a ton of minerals. There is a decent little amount, but it's not necessarily for the minerals. It's more for the positioning. See, this is where I'm going to want to reposition myself, build my hatcheries here, get some defense here. Because this is a way easier to defend, and it's all in the corner of the map. Whereas being centralized here, with my main being here, is not good, because I'm surrounded by everybody. So I'm going to be wanting to swap over here soon. Especially once I mine these minerals out. Which I should really be making more drones to mine this out faster. Yep, I can just easily get away from that with my mutas. Safely mining as much as I can from here. This is definitely not my territory, but I'm able to mine. I've already paid for this expo and some. Hell, I'll probably pay for this expo too. Yeah. So, building over here. Red GGs. So now my thought is maybe these guys will fight each other. So trying to lay low, just mine these minerals out, and then once they're mined out, but shift my focus more over here. So now they're fighting. Now if you look at the banks, Teal, Terran, 46k, very terrifying, and he's even still mining. So he's being very cost effective with his units, and he's also really wasn't. I mean, he was fighting red for quite a while, but he still maintained a large bank, and he has plenty of minerals to mine from still. So he's in a really good spot. Zerg doesn't have quite as much of a bank, but he's keeping some good map control, and he's still got bases to mine, and even these over here too. So what he would need to do is just kind of shift his focus towards here, here, and here, mine these out. And it would probably be his best move to not be fighting Teal as much. He has no reason to fight Teal. Who is stronger? So I just said probably Teal. Which is true, he has a huge bank. Now it looks like I'm losing the space here. This one's already mined out, so no biggie. This one goes. But you see, my units are all over here. I'm more focused about just defending this space, focusing my energy over here. Because there's minerals over here, and it's much more easily defensible. I mined as much as I could from these middle bases. Still mining. Just trying to focus my energy more towards this base too. Push everything down here. So now I'm further away from everybody, and I'm still able to mine. This guy gone. Using that. Okay, now they're fighting. Now he's just gonna lose everything. Irradiates. He does have Swarm, but it's such a bad position for Zerg to be going into. He's just gonna lose everything pointlessly. Yeah. It's hard, but being Zerg in this spot against this army with a narrow ramp here wasn't the right comp. But mining this away, very good. And then coming back and reclaiming this and that. So you see, I've kind of just repositioned myself in this corner, which also happens to have minerals in it. Not making any enemies, just hoping that these two are going to fight it out. This guy, hell, maybe they'll even fight this guy. And he sees this. This lurker right here. I don't think he has an overlord. So, lurkers are great against Zerg. But I have double goo on these units, which is good. He's coming at me, but with not nearly enough. So this army cannot do anything to my new position over here. Now, if I was positioned in the middle, I would be dead to this army, most likely. But safely nestled over here, slowly building up a bank, because I know I'm going to need it to fight Teal. Because I know that he is a very campy player who sits on a lot of minerals. So I know if I'm going to compete as Zerg, I need to be accumulating a bank myself and not fighting anyone else, unless absolutely necessary. But I have pretty much extracted minerals from this, and this, which aren't even on my side of the map. And hell, I'm even over here too, because somehow blue left. I think he lost his army, maybe. But as soon as blue left, I came right over here because I had an overlord watching. I had an overlord watching this base this whole time. So I came over here as soon as he left. So that's why having it's important to have overlords just watching these bases that aren't taken. I don't know where he's thinking right there. So now he's trying to make a move on me. He gets a plague on me, which is no good, but he can't really follow it up. Another plague of asking E40 how much money he has, just to kind of gauge it. But this nice base here, I will be able to take, because no one is down here. And with my mutas, I can easily defend any of these bases I need to. It's just good map control. Now these guys are fighting over here. See, I'm positioned way out of the way, so I'm positioned away from, like, why would anyone come over here? Unless they're specifically trying to kill me. I guess there's minerals over here that I am contesting, but now he has to worry about teal. And I'm just quietly mining these bases. I don't think anyone knows about this one. Or this one, so. Just minding my own business. Mining these as long as I possibly can. Hell, I'm even keeping an eye on this base here. I think Teals has the sight set on this base. He has this one. I don't know if he knows about this one and this one. But now he's gone from like these. Now Gray, he only has about 2k. So he's not working with a lot. But he's being very aggressive, which isn't really his best move here. He should probably just be focusing on defending these. He does find this, and he did find that. So he has that going for him. But I retreat now that I've done what I need to do. Hope that they fight each other. Just trying to chill while I determine my next move. Still have vision on this base. Still have vision on this base. Nice overlord spread out to see if he's coming towards me. To see if anyone's coming to scan these bases out. And he really wants to kill me. One more teal snooping. I think he nuked nothingness over here. Interesting. See, I'm just using these units for map control. Not even really attacking. Just kind of going to defend key spots. Or clear out units. Like over here. Clear this out. And I can just come back to my base as I need to. So yeah, there are lots of minerals, but no one's mining them. But Zerg is great in this kind of situation just because they're very easily able to keep map control. Now Gray is gone, I immediately move out once I see that he's gone. Just kind of looking around. He's kind of just confined to this little area here. He is building Valkyries now. But I'm just going from base to base, clearing out any little thing that I want. Like, at this point now, I own this entire map other than the top right quadrant. And he might have a bigger bank than me, but I know I still have this base I can mine. I have this base I can mine. I have this base I can mine. And I have this base I can mine. So, and hell, even this base. I'm just killing his army. Devourers are great against Valks. Just clearing out this unit. Getting it invested. He might have the bank, but he doesn't quite have the ability to control the map, which, hell, there's even these bases over here. So now, if there were no minerals on the map at all right now, he is actually in a decent position because he would have a bank advantage on me. And if there's no minerals on the map, then, he can just chill and make his units cost effective. But since there are so many minerals on the map, and it's a wide open map, so many minerals on it, I can just exercise map control, mine them all in my bank, and then when the time comes for me to fight him and break his turtling, I can easily do that with my massive bank. So after I mine all these minerals, I'll probably be at like over 50k, assuming that I don't lose anything. And he's not able to mine any of this. I'm even mining down here. But I'm getting these spaces up and running. Controlling this area. So at this point, he really just needs a big army of like Valkyries and science vessels. He could probably control the map a little bit better with that. But the second he moves his entire army somewhere, which he kind of is doing now, that's when I would be able to use my mutas, which are so versatile and able to go anywhere, to just kill his main. So that's why he can't really leave his main. And I'm not sure if I realize that just yet, but I'm sure I will eventually. Realize that if his whole army is out here, then I can just go kill his main while he kills whatever this is over here. See, that wasn't a good engage. See, I should have realized I should have just went for his main at this point instead of going for that engage. But I might be able to defend it with the Filers and Lurkers, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah. A one Lurker under Swarm can kill just about anything. Yeah, okay. And that just gets cleaned up. I do have money, but so does he. He's mining this little crappy base over here. I'm mining this. About to be mining this. Mining this. I mean, just sit all game in mine. I had to do a lot of moving. But what he's saying is actually pretty much the ideal free-for-all strategy is fight as little as possible while mining the most as possible. And positioning yourself in such a way that you're safe from the other players and you're able to mine. So we have the same bank, but it's not equal. It's not equal. Now, if we had the same bank and there were no minerals on the map, he would be advantage. So he's mining here, but for how long will he be mining here? His army is just kind of scattered. Yes, the map is pretty big for Terran. I can't do anything about that. I'll just rebuild it immediately. So my bank is dwindling, but so is his, and mine is being replenished. His is not, because now I'm going right for that. I have an eye on this base, I have an eye on this base, I have an eye on this base. So I know he doesn't have them, so I know I'm safe and I can just chill, keep mining, try and pick off anything that comes my way. I feel like a broken record at this point because I've just said the exact same thing over and over and over, but that is the Zerg advantage in these big maps, is you can have this map control. Mutas allow you to have this map control. Hell, I don't even really probably even need mutas for this level of map control, because I could even get Niduses and ground units. Zerglings are fast, Ultras are fast. So now he's going to be camping on an island, which is probably his best move. But I'm not able to make much progress. So now would be a good time to just back off and mine, which I think is what I'm going to do. I have the resources, so it's up to him to attack me. But even still, I am going on the offensive, even though I don't need to. There goes his main. So now he's supply blocked. He has to rebuild everything over here. And now I finally have the resource advantage. And I have the entire map. So I can just peacefully mine all these minerals, get them into my bank. So it's going to take a bit to crack this island with massive turrets and Goliaths and tanks and science vessels. So if there are no minerals on the map, I would be scared right now. But I'm not scared just because there's plenty of minerals and I know that I can mine them. And after 30 minutes to an hour of mining them, I would have enough to just YOLO my entire army into him over and over, and he would slowly die. So getting this base now, getting that base, getting this base, and just safely mining this base and that base, going away. But I'm max, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what I can do. Have the Guardians go in. I think there might have been some mutas, and then the ground army at the same time. But you'll see, not even that wasn't even enough to do it. This is such a tanky position, or campy, tanky position. I wasn't able to actually win there. But I know, well, I'm mining, so I can afford to keep doing this for a little bit. So I will be able to replace my army. And I know he won't be able to replace his as easily. So now it's just the Zerg being the swarm race now at this point. Guardians. Plague. Still wasn't enough to break it. Well, almost. There it is. Yep. So yeah, that's ZVT late game, and also ZV whatever, Zerg on a large map with a lot of minerals. So Terran might be more cost effective, but if you don't need to be cost effective if there's just a massive amount of minerals in your section of the map. See, I positioned myself in a way where I would be near all these minerals and he would be further away from them. So that's that replay. Don't mind my dogs, they've just been going nuts while I've been doing this. They're finally calm. So, last replay. Orbital. So this is Zerg on a small map, which is normally not good at all. So this is Orbital Death. Pretty fun, small free-for-all map, great players. with Barisu and Panku is another free-for-all player. Two good free-for-all players. On a small map as Zerg, I don't even know what the best course of action is. Because fast expoing can be dangerous. I think lurkers are generally good on smaller free-for-all map. Or just rushing someone right next to you and taking their lands to give you slight advantage. Pink is getting wrecked by this guy. Ooh, 2 wrecked. And I'm getting wrecked by SCBs. Wow, okay. So I am nearly dead here. I'm taking that. Okay, still alive somehow. This is not what you want to do as Zerg in free for all. We'll base it. But he doesn't really have an option, I guess. He has nowhere to go. Okay, still alive. Killing this guy, getting his land, which is much needed. I was able to do that relatively easily with lurkers. Just gonna speed through. Just guarding this area with lurkers. Just slowly mining, chilling up here, hoping that these players fight each other while I get set up, because I am not really powerful right now. So I have the base advantage on everyone else, but I would like a little more bases. Filer Mound. I'm not getting Mutas this game. More a Mass Hydra kind of game, because Mutas, I don't think they're actually really good in this kind of scenario. I don't need map control, because it's such a small map. Like, what map would I be controlling at that point? I think Hydras are slightly more cost effective, maybe, in this case. Still mining. Still got a decent amount of minerals on all these bases, and I would have a bigger bank than everyone else. So I'm just trying to avoid fighting here. Yellow getting mass BCs off a 2 base, which if he doesn't fight anyone, that's pretty good. This guy's fighting over here. Taking this up here, trying to see if I can get this. Queens, already starting with the queens. Preemptively knowing that, well, I'm only going to be mining off these bases probably, so I need to start getting more cost-effective units. That hurts. Broodlings are good for that, though. Probably trying to get some parasites here. Yeah. Parasites are just so good for map or vision, or getting vision on the map. It's one thing the other races don't really have, other than Terran with scan, obviously. But Parasite is just so nice, and that you can do it on key units, and they'll pretty much scout for you, or you're forced that unit to kind of be ostracized, unless they don't care if you have vision. Parasite on that. He's distance mining. Can't really do anything about it though. So he leaves here, maybe realizing he can't really do anything. But now I am in a great position for Zerg on a small map, where I am mining several bases. I have a bank of 10k, which is more than everyone combined times 2. So that is a good position to be in. But I am still concerned because there's 2 players left in the game. And theoretically, if they vowed never to fight each other and only fight me, I would probably be in a bit of trouble against their cost-effective Terran units. And Yellow hasn't really fought anybody. He has this huge army here. So I'm taking this here. I think I'm going to go for an offensive on this guy, because his base is much more easily accessible than Yellow. Broodlings on the tanks. And I realized that Yellow isn't really going on the offensive, so now this was the time to be killing this guy before he got any ideas to go on the offensive, because realistically, he might see that I'm mining here, and he would go on the offensive. But I wanted to kind of take this opportunity to get this guy before he had the chance to do that. It is risky because he could attack me at any time here. I only have 1 Defiler over here. And here he is. I have a Defiler, though. Can I get a Plague? Sure can. So, battlecruisers, they are strong, but they will get plagued. Now he's using this time, very well timed, to wipe me there. I still have some bank, though. Tan doesn't have a lot. I don't know where I'm getting nuked. Or is it even me? I don't know. I don't think it fell. So just leveling this base with my nice Zerglings and Ultras. I do still have a bank, but I need to really focus on mining here. These bases, this is mined out. Still some here and there, but not much. And there's a nuke, but I think it'll die. Yep, it goes. Trying to finish this guy. And he is gone now. So now it's just me versus Yellow. And the irradiates start now, which are very, very painful. So some scourges will be needed. So he has a bank advantage on me. Where I can't see his population because this stupid bar is in the way, but I'm maxed. I'm assuming he is too. But a nice plague, swarm. Sniping the vessel. Kind of pointlessly losing some units. More units. Yamatos are really good. have no defilers. However, there are goo on these guys, which makes them more susceptible to damage. So I am able to get a few BCs out of the way. And these Zerglings are just going to die pointlessly. More Hydras to maybe make use of this goo. Killing another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Devour Gunk really helps make them take some more damage. So I'm still at a mineral deficit against this guy, and I'm not maxed. So I'm actually really in terrible shape right here. Whereas if I was mining these safely, it would be a little more manageable. But I'm not mining those, so it's really not looking good. Trying to get some broodlings off here and there. But the Irradiate will just get me. Yep. He might not really be mining, but he doesn't need to be. His units are just more cost effective. But positionally, I am in a good position because I am next to these minerals that have yet to go into my bank account, but will soon, hopefully. I need to pull all my drones and mine this. Wherever the hell they are. Just trying to get some parasites here. He's building more, but he's kind of gas limited. And somehow I am not gas limited. Usually Zerg is gas limited. But finally I'm safely mining this base here. Desperately need that. Have a few Scourges here to hopefully get some science vessels. Restore, yep. Oh, yeah. See, this is why BCs aren't all that great in late game against Zerg, because they'll just get plagued to hell, and they can get ensnared and devour gunked, and those 3 go. Even just 2 of those kinds of goo are enough to completely ruin BCs. Just repairing everything, which is annoying. But he is running out of money and gas. So these Scourges are kind of preventing his vessels from getting better targets of the irradiates. Look at that. That was pretty nice. Could have been a little better, but I couldn't get too close. But Scourges are nice for zoning, like, science vessels away. That wasn't good. Still mining this, fine, but I need to start focusing on getting minerals from this one too. He still has a mineral advantage on me, but I'm not maxed. Broodling, very good. Not good losing that. All those Scourges managed to get 1 BC. Considering I had a bit of gas there, I think that was worth it mineral-wise. Those Scourges probably cost like 200. Got another one, so that was cost-effective if you don't count gas. Got a vessel, that was probably about even. Another tank gone. Medic gone, that was kind of pointless. Every little bit counts though. Another plague. Restore is good though. Another plague. So it's just Yamatos and irradiates against plagues, trying to avoid being irradiated. And broodlings help here. So now his bank is dwindled pretty low here, and he is not able to replace, whereas I am. Now I actually have a decent sized army. Might be the time to move. See if I can get him. But look at this. This was a really bad engage because my guys are bottlenecked here and they're just trickling in. So this isn't good. Did finally get a swarm up though. If I can get a plague. There's a plague. You see how BCs aren't all that good here? They're not able to attack under the swarm. Hell, even Tan is getting in on this. That's annoying. But now, so he has some mobility here. He can just go and kill my mining, which is almost mined out. But I can't quite really do much about this. He has wraiths. That's annoying. Dead Defiler. More Defilers here, though. No energy. This guy fucking sniping things, too. Yamatos do work under Swarm, so if I was under there, he could Yamato me. The Defilers are just so big here to keep getting plagues on him. Now he kind of has to come back here. So there goes my mining for now. Oh. Yeah, plagues on rates are huge. Dead. So he needs more vessels, but he can only afford one more. Two more. So vessels are big. But he was able to get a good amount of irradiates off, but he really needed to be getting more. Like, that was a good one right there. He really just needs to be irradiating nonstop, which means you need a little more vessels for that. So now I'm retaking this. I have no minerals. This is pretty much all I have. This is all he has, but he has vessels. And I don't have a ton of... I have some scourges here. Actually, I have a lot of gas, so scourges would be huge with this small amounts of distance mining here. I think I'm distance mining. Yeah. It's not the best to radiate, but it's better than nothing. But these scourges here are able to kind of zone away the vessels. Maybe I could start mining. He is broke. I am essentially broke, but my main goal is to just kind of keep these vessels away while I mine a little bit more, so I'll have enough to fight him. So he can't necessarily really push on me very well, just because he will get intercepted by plagues and swarms. So he kind of has to either just hope that he can make some kind of offensive and get away with it before I'm able to mine too much, or he needs to be doing more work with his vessels. But I preemptively put these up, and he can't do a whole lot just because BC. Now, if he had a big tank and Goliath army, he would be able to siege this no problem. But BCs aren't the best choice against Zerg, just because of those plagues. It is a good irradiate. But I am up to 1k bank now. I have bank, I'm mining still. I'm mining, I have 1k bank, and he's not mining. And he's slowly taking damage here and there. He's not able to do nearly as much damage as he needs to be. He did keep that alive. But now he goes. Oh. Swarm? He's getting my mining, but I have 1k in the bank. I'm using the lurker egg trick here. Also killing over here at the same time. He GG's out. And that guy leaves. And that's that. So, if that guy had gone Goliath tank, it might have gone a little better because tanks are so good against Zerg ground, and I would have been relying on using swarms and ultras. But even tanks can shoot under swarms still, so depending on the amount of tanks, it wouldn't have mattered. Broodlings would have been coming into play. But hopefully this helped a little bit with seeing how to use Zerg, even on small maps there. But yeah, if you have any questions about Zerg and free for all, drop them below in the comments and I'll answer them for you. Have a good day.